Hello, everyone. Chag Sameach, Chag Shavuot Sameach. It's wonderful to see you here today as we are on the eve of Shavuot, the Festival of Weeks, to experience a learning process that we're calling Our Torah, How Learning Leads to Action. My name is Rabbi Adam Chalom. I am the Dean for North America of the International Institute for Secular Humanistic Judaism, and also the Rabbi of Kol Chodesh Humanistic Congregation in North Suburban Chicago. And I'm your host for today as we welcome the beginning of Shabbat through these wonderful learning sessions that we have coming up. I wanted to share with you three quotations that in some ways will exemplify the message that we're trying to explore today. And you can even see it from this opening image that was part of our registration page, the juxtaposition of the Torah scroll and the library, because our Torah, our sense of canonical learning and important wisdom is broader than simply the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. In fact, this Torah scroll that you see in the picture lives at the Birmingham Temple with the founding congregation of Humanistic Judaism, and it lives in the library in that congregation, making that point as well. And so our first quotation is from the Sayings of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, Lo hamidrash hu ha'ikar ela ha'ma'aseh. Study is not the central thing, but rather actions. What you know is fine, but doing may be more important than study. Another example, also from Sayings of the Fathers, those whose wisdom exceed their good deeds, to what may they be compared? To a tree whose branches are many, but whose roots are few, and the wind comes and uproots it and overturns it on its face. But those whose good deeds exceed their wisdom, to what may they be compared? To a tree whose branches are few, but whose roots are many, so that even though all the winds in the world come and blow against it, it cannot be stirred from its place. The practice of doing good can be even more enriching and rooting and putting your feet firmly on the ground than the study of many, many ideas. And then finally, a third in the similar vein, and this really was the origin point of the title for our program. Rabbi Tarfon and the elders were reclining in the loft of Nitzah in Lod. Lod is in the news lately, by the way, when this question was asked of them: is study greater or is action greater? Rabbi Tarfon answered and said, action is greater. Perhaps he was thinking of that earlier quote. Rabbi Akiva answered and said, study is greater. And so everyone else answered and agreed with Akiva, but for an interesting reason. Study is greater, for study leads to action. Talmud mevi lidei ma'aseh. That study, repetition, diving into the reasons can lead you to do good things. And that's really the motivation for our program today. It is to open the doors, not just to learn more about good things being done in the world, but also to experiencing people working in that world and being inspired to do good things ourselves. For those who may not know, the holiday of Shavuot, or weeks, marks 50 days after the beginning of Passover. It's actually a week of weeks. If you have 7 days in a week, 7 times 7 days, gets you to 49 days, and Shavuot is the 50th day. Shavuot was originally a summer harvest holiday among the Hebrew people, and when the layer of interpretations of rabbinic Judaism were added, Shavuot was reinterpreted as a celebration of the giving of the Torah. One tradition that developed over the centuries was the Tikkun Leil Shavuot, an all-night Torah study session as Shavuot began. And as we discussed in our leadership how we might continue this tradition in a secular and humanistic key this year, we decided to connect the Tikkun Leil Shavuot with the value of Tikkun Olam, or repairing the world. And there are many Jewish sayings and stories that connect with this. Jewish tradition is long and varied, and so we have the quotes I mentioned that focus on action and doing, and there are other Jewish traditions that emphasize Torah lishma, studying Torah just for the sake of studying Torah, and the importance of Torah study over other mitzvot. That is the beauty of being an heir to Jewish culture, as Amos Oz wrote. We can choose from our inheritance that which speaks to us most powerfully. And today's sessions are about moving from Torah to tachlis, from study to concrete action. And when we say Torah, we mean in the broadest sense of Torah as the same root of morah, teaching, learning, human knowledge. And it includes history, psychology, modern ethics, all that a person might know and learn from in 2021. I do want to do a quick review of the upcoming schedule before we welcome our first guest. Wouldn't want to be too early after all. So here is our opening block of sessions. Our first program will be with Itai Fleischer, whom I'll introduce in a moment. At 4:30, we have on being Jewish and being human and Jewish in the disordered cosmos with Dr. Chanda Prescott Weinstein in conversation with Rabbi Greg Epstein of Harvard University and MIT. Then at 4:50, improving secular education in Hasidic and Haredi schools with the executive director of Yafed, Naftali Moster. 5:10, we'll look at advocating for diversity and equity inclusion with Jews in All Hues executive director Jared Jackson. We'll also be talking about the importance of intermarried Jewish communal leadership with leadership from our Society for Humanistic Judaism, the importance of bread and sustenance in Jewish life, also connected to both the holiday of Shavuot as the wheat harvest and also some of the stories from the book of Ruth. At 6:10, we move on to talking with Abby Stein, who is a transgender Jewish activist, moving from tolerance to celebration. We will be talking about water rights beyond borders, the importance of not only avoiding but eliminating sexual harassment in the Jewish world with the Gamani/Me Too movements with Dr. Karen McGinnity. We'll have a wonderful presentation on the Jewish middle way and doing good with Rabbi Susan Averbach. At 7:30, we have Activating Teen Activists with a teen activist herself, Rebecca Ireland, in conversation with Rabbi Judah Seid. A program with Sasha Sagan, who's written a wonderful book on creating liturgy for secular people, in conversation with Rabbi Jeffrey Falick. A program on gender inclusive Hebrew with graphic designer Michal Shomer, and I'll try to wrap us all up at 8:30. Again, there's a lot to digest here, and we are recording these sessions, so you will have a chance to see them later. You will be receiving a follow-up email in a couple of days after the session that will give you the playlist, where to find it, for all of the sessions of this program. So if you happen to miss or need to step away for a while, there'll be a chance to catch up on the sessions you weren't able to see.